Post-credits sequences can be a pretty fun aspect of filmmaking. It's a way to give audiences a nice little bonus and a bit of an incentive to keep people watching and seeing the names of everyone involved in the production, or it simply can be just to entertain you with the likes of Pixar's spoof reels. I'm Cal from What Culture, and here are 10 movies with the post-credits scenes that changed everything. Number 10. Cloverfield. At the end of Cloverfield, the 2008 monster movie directed by Matt Reeves, a bomb goes off in New York City. It kills our main characters, taking out the monster too, or maybe not. At the very end of the credits, we hear a mysterious voice saying that what first sounds like help us. Maybe it's Rob and Beth begging for help. They've survived the explosion. Have they saved it? But has the monster as well? We don't know. But when this audio is reversed, it's actually pretty clear that the voice is saying it's still alive. Who's the person we're hearing? Who knows? This little bit is a clear indication that the monster was not actually destroyed by the bomb, leaving us with a step up for a potential sequel. Number 9. The Grey. With the success of movies like Taken, the trailers for The Grey marketed it as an action film about Liam Neeson kicking ass and fighting wolves for 2 hours. The most badass moment of the trailer shows Liam Neeson taping a bunch of broken glass to his hands and getting ready to fight a wolf. Well, we don't actually get to see the fight take place. We're left with a movie ending of John running towards the wolf, and we cut to black. We're left baffled and dazed, having no idea what the outcome was. However, at the very end, we get a brief sequence where we see John lying on the wolf, and at least one of them is clearly breathing. It could be read as an indication that John took out the wolf and survived the fight. It's just a shame that everyone that left in a huff missed that bit. Number 8. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The 2011 prequel Rise of the Planet of the Apes shows the beginning of the ape uprising as led by Caesar, but at the end of the movie, humanity is still alive. The film doesn't actually reveal how the human race will die, except, of course, the fact that it definitely does. After only a few minutes, we see Hunziker get sneezed on by an infected chimp handler, only he's actually a pilot, not the chimp handler, Hunziker. And in the post-credit sequence, we see him flying over the world, spreading the virus and causing death to humanity. So, as it turns out, the apes becoming intelligent and humanity being wiped out are both the result of the same drug. Sure, it was hinted at a bit within the first film itself, but the post-credit scene confirms it, and we actually get to see it happen. And it's something that someone who ran out of the theatre who needed a pee would have totally missed. Number 7. Curse of Chucky. In the apparent last scene, Chucky is taken away by a police officer, but suddenly Tiffany appears and kills him. Now in possession of the Chucky doll, she says, "Who's next?" and we cut to black. Then we go to another scene where Tiffany is shipping Chucky somewhere else, and then we cut to black again. Then yet another scene where Chucky catches up with Alice and gets ready to transfer his soul into her body, and then the credits roll. But wait, there's yet another scene, and this one is pretty insane. 6 months later, we see a package being delivered to some guy that we haven't seen before, a grown-up Andy Barclay. As Andy answers the phone and starts talking to his mother, Chucky begins to cut his way out of the box behind him. What? They can't kill the main character in a credit scene? Chucky turns around, Andy points a shotgun in his face and says, "Play with this," and shoots. It's a full 2-minute sequence, and yet it's hidden all the way at the end of the credits. Who's gonna see that? Number 6. Young Sherlock Holmes. A great and pretty enjoyable movie following Sherlock and Watson as teenagers. In a post-credits scene, it's revealed that Wraith is still alive. Just the fact that the villain didn't die is enough of a surprise, but there's much, much more to this. We see Wraith in a hotel checking himself in under a new name, Moriarty. Yep, that's right. In this brief 20-second scene, it's revealed that the villain of the movie, who we previously thought was just some character who invented in the film, is actually the greatest Sherlock nemesis of all time. Number 5. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. The Pirates of the Caribbean franchise is actually bursting with post-credit scenes that should really be in the actual movie. It's pretty reasonable to assume that most people would have left after a nearly 3-hour film as soon as possible, and as soon as the credits began for definitely, especially as this was in 2007, before Marvel really made us aware of how important these scenes can actually be. However, if they did leave though, they missed seeing Will and Elizabeth reunite 10 years later, presumably with Will now free from the ship. Why wasn't this the actual ending of the movie? Who knows? There would have been a great ending! But if one were to watch through this series and not realise this scene is here, the franchise would have separated the two main characters from each other, only for them to disappear forever. Great ending, huh? Number 4. Fast 5. The Fast and Furious movies have had a lot of awesome and surprising end credit sequences. Fast and Furious 6 had a pretty good one where Jason Statham appears in a fun cameo and sets up the next movie. But the most shocking has got to be at the end of Fast 5. We get a scene at the end of Fast 5 credits that is absolutely 100% totally epic. Dwayne Johnson's character is handed a file concerning his team of drivers who hijacked a military convoy in Berlin. Despite not being interested, Monica tells him to keep looking. He opens up the file and oh my god, it's Letty. She is still alive. Do you believe in ghosts? It ends up being one of the biggest shocks of the film, yet one that the average moviegoer might have missed out thanks to a weak bladder. Number 3. Evil Dead. If you were annoyed that the Evil Dead remake didn't feature a Bruce Campbell cameo, you're massively mistaken and a bad moviegoer. Shame on you. During the credits themselves, we hear an audio of Professor Nobi talking about the discovery of the Naturom Demonto, or however you say it. Then, at the very end, we see a barely lit Ash who turns to the camera and says, "Groovy." This one can barely even be considered a scene, but it was enough to make all hardcore Evil Dead fans lose their minds. Number 2. Masters of the Universe. Revealing that a character didn't actually die happens quite a lot in these post-credit scenes. At the end of He-Man film Masters of the Universe, Skeletor is thrown into a pit of death because that's pretty much how every villain was defeated back then. Of course, he has very clearly been killed and couldn't have possibly survived that fall, right? Well, actually, at the very end of the credits, in some of the cheesiest few seconds ever, Skeletor pops up like a bad kebab repeating on you, looks directly at the camera and says, "I'll be back." Not in like an Arnie, "I'll be back," but like a "I'll be back," as in like a cheesy, cheeky way. The promise of another movie that never happened, and this scene is totally pointless other than revealing He-Man totally failed to kill the villain. Long before Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn made a seriously messed up horror/comedy Slither in 2006, which follows a strange alien creature crashing on Earth and infecting people. In the film's climax, Grant has been transformed into a horrifying slug monster, and our hero Bill is able to blow up the creature, and since Grant was controlling the other side of the infected town, they all die too. Then there's this post-credits scene where we see a cat approaching some of Grant's remains, and then suddenly the creature attacks and infects it. So now we can presume that it will take over the cat and begin terrorizing the town all over again. And if that's the case, did everyone not bother clearing up after the final battle, or does this scene take place off-screen right after Grant has been destroyed? If so, why does Grant die along with all the other infected, but this little one piece of him is still alive? This makes no sense. Bill's plan basically didn't do anything, and the town is about to immediately become infected again. Did we miss any out? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.